Brooke, great to see you. Welcome to Popternative.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It's exciting because, we have another amazing season of Sweet Magnolias coming out this week worldwide on Netflix, which is so exciting. And I'm wondering, because you've done this now for, 4 seasons, that's that script to screen journey, so to speak, right? Like reading what's going to happen, then seeing it come to life. What's that been like for you with a show like this? And does it change a lot for season through season, or is it kind of similar and consistent for you?
It's such a good question. It's a question I've never actually been asked before either. So it's really such a good question. It's First of all, it's really, really fun to see the show go from script to screen.
Yeah.
It's really, really fun.
Because a lot happens in between too sometimes.
Yeah, a lot. And, it starts off with, Cheryl Anderson's creation and Cheryl Woods, of course. And then, we add our contribution, and then other departments add their contribution, and everyone adds contributions. And so by the time everyone has added, this story has grown and changed. It's essentially the same story, but it's grown and changed and become its own kind of thing. And that's really fun to see. So sometimes it feels different than when you're shooting it to when you're watching it.
Yeah.
And it feels different, but like good different, because it's grown and become kind of its own thing. And then of course the audience adds their participation in energy, and it kind of lives on its own too. So it's really an interesting process, and it's different from when we're shooting it to when we're looking at it.
It's a crazy kind of feeling too of, you film a season of Sweet Magnolias, you wait, because everything's happening before it gets disseminated, and then boom, disseminated to the world on Netflix. But you've done it 3 seasons now, so I feel like maybe you're used to it, or maybe you'll never get used to it. It's a crazy thing, right?
Yeah. That time period from shooting to having it air is long. It's a long time. It is a long time. But I am kind of used to it now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, because
season 1 is like equal playing field for everyone, and I find it interesting too from the character perspective, right? Because you've never played that character before, we've never seen that character, but now it's a lot of establishing. And I loved season 2 of Sweet Magnolias because I feel like that was really good in regards to really developing the characters more and learning more about them. And then boom, last season it's I know your character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is exciting.
Yeah. And you guys are more part of the family, because you've grown and lived with these characters that are growing and changing as well. So it's a really cool thing.
And perfect segue. So much happens before you officially go to camera on a season of Sweet Magnolias, right? We kind of talked about it in your first script to screen answer, where you're figuring everything out, and then you go and you rock it, right? You go film it. So from an acting storyteller perspective, you can see it as 2 journeys, right? Before filming Sweet Magnolias, and then after filming Sweet Magnolias. Or does it feel like one big storytelling journey with multiple steps in between? I'm curious about that.
Yeah, it feels like both.
Yeah.
It really does. It feels like it's one big journey with multiple steps in between, and it feels like different from when you're shooting it to when it airs.
Yeah.
And it's kind of all of it. It really is. It's all the pieces as new pieces get presented and contributed. It's it's both.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like it's my filmmaking hat. I always ask these craft questions because that's what I'm thinking of all the time. I do have one specific season 4 question. I walk on eggshells all the time with these interviews, Brooke, because you never want to give away or anything, right? But what was a character, besides your character specifically, that you were kind of reading the scripts and you love seeing it come to life on screen, that you were like, wow, what a cool arc this season compared to others? Or is there anyone just even if it's not different, is there an arc that you kind of enjoyed more than others this season for season 4 specifically?
Yeah, it's interesting. And of course I am obviously biased towards Dana Sue because I love what Cheryl Anderson has written for her and how much Dana Sue actually has gone through and changed since season 1. Her growth, her arc is amazing and really cool. And everyone's is, right? And so, but first I always have to get in my love of Dana Sue. But it's so interesting because when I look at all the characters this season, it's a similar path for each person in the fact that everyone is exploring going outside of their comfort zone, wondering if they could be more than they thought they could, wondering if they could contribute more than they thought they could, and also like looking and like, what, maybe I'm more than I thought I was.
Yeah.
And each person is going through that same arc if you really look at it. And I was watching the show and I was like, I saw it in a different way than when we were shooting it.
Yep.
And I was like, that is so cool that every single person, including the kids, are going through this expansion of their being to know and understand that they could do more than they thought they could. And it brings all these fears and these excitements and unsure, and you're insecure and that you're also excited. And so like each person is kind of going through that very thing. It's really amazing in all the different ways, right?
Absolutely. I love the shout out to Dana Sue though. We gotta give a shout out to Dana Sue.
I know. I love Dana Sue.
Which art do you like? Dana Sue.
I'm like, well, Dana Sue, actually. I'm like, well, now I can't say Dana Sue, but I really want to say Dana Sue.
Dana Sue. No, it's great. I love it. Well, it's interesting too, right? Because family and friends is always kind of the front and center focal point of this show. I talked to Cheryl J. Anderson about this as well. It's always going to be there. But then there's all these other kind of elements and themes and storylines that are sprinkled throughout around kind of the consistent focal point of the family. What other elements besides that do you enjoy the most about Sweet Magnolias? Because they're sprinkled, right? There's heartbreak, there's second chances, there's faith, there's a lot of different elements there, right? Around the focal point of the family and friendship.
Yeah. Gosh. I mean, I love the three women, and I love the friendship of the three women, and I think that encompasses family, but it reaches out to what I think is super important in our society today, that women support each other and fight for each other and are there for each other and can work out issues and can talk about things that might hurt them or upset them and move through that. And I think the three women really give this show an extra special magic that I think is really necessary right now, and also wanted and craved and needed. And so I think that piece to me is really pivotal and really important. And obviously I get to work with JoAnna Garcia Swisher and Heather Headley, and we get to do that together, which is a cool thing to be doing about women being together while being women doing it together. So
yeah, absolutely. No, that's really well said. And I did have like one last question after this, but I'm just going to add a quick like bonus one to what you just said, because that like kind of advice that the three ladies give to each other throughout the seasons, and they're there for each other. And sometimes there seems to be situations where it's like, you know, they really have to kind of dial in and figure things out for each other, be there for each other, that self-reflection, right? That soul searching. I'm wondering from an acting storyteller perspective, what do you think about playing these characters, kind of taking it day by day and doing a lot of self-reflection? Because do you find it more like challenging? Is it fun? Does it depend on the storyline? Because from a viewer perspective, right, they don't know they're lost, right? So I find that really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think you're right. They don't know they're lost, and sometimes they do.
Yeah.
I think it's both. So wait, what exactly are you asking?
Is it like, what do you think? Is it fun? Is it more, is it challenging? Like, is it fun? Is it challenging from an acting perspective? Like, I'm just curious about that. Like playing these lost characters. Yeah.
I think it's thrilling as an actress. And, you know, there's a double thing happening. So while we're shooting the scene, there is obviously the characters are at play, right? So you've got Helen and Maddie and Dana Sue trying to figure things out, supporting each other, doing this whole thing. And at the same time, JoAnna, Heather, and I are trying to figure out the scene and how best to work with each other and give to each other what the other one might need in that scene, especially if it's a Maddie scene or a Helen scene or a Dana Sue scene more specifically. You know, Margarita Night will tap on all three of them, but but it's an interesting thing to be playing women who are figuring things out and supporting each other while being women who are figuring things out and supporting each other and figuring out, if JoAnna needs a special thing to help her with that moment, if Heather needs that, if I need this, it's the same thing.
Yeah, no,
and it's
absolutely.
pretty cool. Yeah,
That's so well said. No, and you see it each season just get kind of like every time a new season of Sweet Magnolias comes out, right? I like, the show about it. So this is more of kind of a Cheryl thing, but it's like, how do we make it bigger? How do we make it better? And I feel like it happens every season, and same with season 4, and it's going to drop worldwide on Netflix on February 6th. Last quick question. We've established as a viewer that sometimes it's very like stressful after a new season ends of Sweet Magnolias. There have been some cliffhangers in past seasons where you have all these theories and everything, and the fandom over like all around the world, Brooke, are so passionate about the show, and it's incredible.
I know.
Given what I just said, I know the answer to this is you try not to, but are you ever conscious of the audience member watching Sweet Magnolias while you make it or reacting to certain things? Or does that happen after you wrap, so to speak? I'm curious about that.
Yeah, I think, okay, so this is a bit nuanced. You're always aware of the fact that the audience is going to watch this, and you're always aware of the fact that you want it to be relatable. You want them to find themselves in it. You want them to find a part of their lives that they can, relate to and kind of meld into. You also want to give them something to bring them peace and comfort. There's all different things that you're hoping the audience gets from it. That's kind of just in the background while you're shooting. You are aware of it, but certainly not while I'm in the middle of a scene with Brandon would I be thinking of that. I would be thinking of what we're doing and participating in. But that's why I say it's so nuanced, because it's like, well, it's always present. Our audience is always present, and I think that that's part of the community, believe it or not. And I don't know if that if that sounds too cheesy, but it's actually true that the show is about community, and the audience is a part of that community, and so they're always on our radar, but in nuanced forms. Does that make sense?
It does, absolutely. I just feel like thank you for keeping that question alive, because sometimes I just have that no, I'm just focusing on the scripts, and I don't think about that. But that was like one of the best answers in that question. So that's awesome.
I think it's a meld and a nuance, and it's what particularly you're focused, but they're always a part of it. So, and then of course after it airs, you're really focused on that part. It's
all about the audience, because it's
hoping that people enjoy it and love it and want more of it and that kind of stuff. Yeah,
absolutely. February 6th, worldwide on Netflix. It's season 4 of Sweet Magnolias. Brooke, it was an honor and privilege to speak with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. It was nice to meet you.
It was nice to meet you too. Is there like a Instagram account where people can keep up to date with anything? Is it just your name or?
Oh yeah, I'm at real.brooke.elliott.
Absolutely. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. You can of course catch Brooke Elliott as Dana Sue in season 4 of Sweet Magnolias, dropping worldwide on Netflix. Until next time, this is Brooke and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.